And welcome back to Coffee with the Wolves, presented by JJC Athletics. As always, I'm Damian Dennis, and I'm joined once again by Jeff DeGraw. Jeff, how you doing?
Good, good. We need some sun, but
Yeah, so we got you back on because we're going to be talking about the start of the outdoor portion of your season at this point. So track and field begins the outdoor half of this season, I guess today, since this is coming out Friday. It's beginning pretty much like right now. Just kind of your thoughts heading into this back half.
well, I think, and I made fun. We need sun. I think we're like all other spring sports, but sometimes I think we're more dependent on good weather because, quite frankly, we're chasing performances to get the qualifying standards for nationals for those who didn't hit it indoors, which was great because we had 18 or 19 qualify indoors for the outdoor national meet, and that's nice that we get to use indoor performances for the outdoor meet. But for example, there's no 100 indoors, there's no 4x1 relay, no discus for the field event people. So and we're in no, it's the same for everybody in track and field. We just, would like to have some nice weather,
Yeah.
but I also realize where we live in Illinois. I mean, it could be 70 one day and 40 the next.
Yep. And it messes with my allergies and sinuses.
Uh,
yeah, so let's kind of talk about the indoor portion of the season because it's been over for roughly a month now. We had you on sometime in February. It's been a long time since you were last here on the show. Just kind of recap that indoor season. You mentioned you had a handful of student athletes qualifying for the national national event. Later in the year. And then school records. Which again, this is a young program, so
Correct.
those are kind of easy to set at this point. But still, you've set school marks. You've made national qualifiers. Just kind of a recap of all that.
I thought we had a very good indoor season. Most everybody improved from what they were, especially the returning sophomores. The freshmen, it was a whole new experience. We had some very good performances. In fact, some people commented, they hadn't hit the marks that they did until the end of their senior year. So to do it in January, February is a good starting point. And then after the indoor season, we just took a month off to get, not, we didn't take a month off, but with no meets, sort of get back into, you know, some basic stuff. And now we'll just start kicking it up again with, because we only have, 5 meets outdoor and we're at the nationals time. So, it's going to be key. We only run once a weekend. So, and that's different than, in high school, you run quite a few times during the week also, but in college it's just once a week. So we attempt to get some good stuff, and once they qualify, that's great because then they can work on things getting ready for the national meet.
Now, can you kind of explain the difference in preparation for indoor and outdoor? Is the practice kind of sessions a little bit different when you're kind of preparing for indoor versus outdoor? Is there anything that you do differently, whether as a coach or as a student athlete?
Not a whole lot. The only problem is, I think indoor hampers some of our quote taller people, especially like the Johnson twins. They're 6'4", and the indoor really hampers them because of the tight turns indoor. And when we practice, here indoors, because again, you can't do all the fast stuff when it's 15 to 25 degrees outside. So we have to be inside. Uh, and I think a lot of our kids have a much higher ceiling to come outdoor season because everything opens up more. It's, now all of a sudden the 400 is 1 lap instead of 2 laps.
Yeah.
And for all the distance events, it seems a lot shorter. I kid them, if they ran, a mile indoors, it's 8 laps. Outdoors, it's only 4. So you're only running half the distance.
Yeah.
They get a kick out of that, coach. It's still a mile.
Yeah.
But I said you're doing half the laps.
Yeah. I mean, that would have motivated me when I was in high school. I hated running the mile. I don't think I've done it since probably I think I did it in college myself, so over a decade ago at this
Okay.
point. But not a thing I would not have been on your team. uh, let's talk a little bit more about the weather though, because again, we're recording this on Thursday. It's gloomy outside today. Uh, I know there's rain coming in over the weekend. What's the ideal weather for an outdoor meet? Is it specifically you're looking for the warmth, or do you actually want, that sun out, a clear sky?
Well, that would be ideal, but the biggest thing that hampers track and field is the wind. I mean, the wind, go anything, the wind can help, the people in the 100, sometimes in the discus if you get the right wind, sometimes in the high jump. But when you're going around the track, you're going to hit that wind at some point in time going around the track because the wind doesn't follow you around.
Yeah.
So wind is the biggest factor. I mean, it can be 50 degrees and no wind, and that's a great day because of the wind. Now, we were at a meet last year. It actually rained, snowed, was sunny the entire afternoon. I mean, we had three different seasons in one meet, one weekend last year, and that was in mid-April. But wind is the biggest factor in track and field. That's absolutely huge because especially if we've got some people running the 10,000 this week, and that's 25 laps on an outdoor track. And if there's wind, we wouldn't have done it because we're trying to go for a decent time, and that just kills you. And you can't run very many 10,000 meters on the track in the outdoor season. So you pick and choose when you hope to get the best weather, and it should be decent this weekend, so you can only hope.
Well, that sounds like my nightmare.
Yeah.
But can we talk a little bit about some of those student athletes on your team, men or women, who may have already qualified for the nationals in their events? Just some student athletes you'd like to highlight right now.
Yeah, for the women, Regan Furman-Kawitz from Plainfield South High School, she had a very good indoor season, improved her times, qualified in the 200. I know she doesn't like to hear it, but I think her best event eventually will be the 400. She ran a great anchor leg in one of our meets and held off some other teams and ran faster than she ever could imagined in the anchor of the 4x4 relay. She did a good job. Kayla Williams is coming around. We're going to add her to the 100-meter hurdles this year. She qualified for nationals in the 400 hurdles. She's qualified in the 400 and the 800 indoor, but I think her best chance at the national meet is the 400 hurdles. And Adrienne Carpin had a great cross-country season, which helped her 400 tremendously. She's already qualified in the 400, and I think her times will drop once we get to the outdoor season. For the men, Noah Smith, great hurdler. In fact, he won the 60-meter hurdles at the North Central meet against all four-year schools. And when a freshman can win that against seniors, that's an accomplishment. He ran great indoors. He ran a very good 400. His main event outdoor will be the 400 hurdles. And I honestly believe he will be a national factor come the national meet in the 400 hurdles. He has goals. He works hard. And he's a great hurdler. The Johnson brothers and all of our middle distance, we have 5 people qualified in the 800 for nationals. The problem with that is we're only allowed to run 3 per event at the national meet. Mm-hmm. So we will work on things, but to have 5 half-milers is a testament to what they did and the work they've done. We're led in the 400 and the 800 by Chris and Alex Johnson, twins from Lockport, and you probably still can't tell them apart if you see them. In fact, I'm learning now how to tell them apart. But I remember during cross-country season, first thing I did was look at their shoes because I knew which one wore what shoes, and that's the only way. But they've done a good job. They've qualified in the 400 and 800. Now we just want to get their time sharper, performances a little bit better. So they've done good. And we've got some people running, which is an event, and we have a female in it, the steeplechase. Now that, for people who don't know, there's 4 barriers plus a water jump each lap for 3,000 meters. Emma Cisic does it for the women. She was an All-American last year at Nationals in the steeple. She's looked very good this year, improved her hurdle technique quite a bit. Then we have 2 freshmen who are going to be trying it, and I think they'll do very well. Michael Welcome and Tommy Edelman, they'll be running that this weekend, hoping to qualify, because that's another event. They'll run it if they qualify this weekend, they'll run it another time or two just because of the technique. But we've been practicing the hurdle technique and the water jump at practice, and they're pretty good at it, because the further you can get out of the water, everybody gets wet. And that's why, you don't want to try to run that on a cold day, because you're going to be soaking wet. But it's a very interesting event.
The water jump, how big of a jump is it generally?
It's probably from barrier, you leap up on the barrier and push off, and the water gets shallower the further out you jump. So right at the barrier, if you go down in, it's waist deep. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and you have to get through that. Some of the world-class athletes can actually jump over the water, but that's even difficult for them. Yeah. So it's a different type of race, but it's so fun to watch. People gather at meets. The whole crowd goes to the water jump because they want to see people fall in the water, get wet.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned cross country in there. I know your shirt even that you're wearing now says track and field and cross country on it. You're the coach for both. How important is it for those student athletes who do compete for both teams, that cross country season, in terms of, I guess, pacing and just stamina and discipline for track?
Well, the strength you gain in cross country, and that's evident with Adrian, who I mentioned earlier. She never ran cross country before. She never ever even thought about it. I convinced her to come out, and that's improved her track times as a sprinter so much it's unbelievable. The strength you gain, you don't necessarily have to be a great cross country runner, especially a sprinter mid-distance type person, but the strength you gain is invaluable. And cross-country seasons make your track seasons, and then track seasons help your cross-country season, especially for the distance people. Of course, you got to run over the summer, but one builds on the other.
Yep. Any new faces joining the team for the outdoor session?
Yeah, we have a pretty decent basketball player.
Yeah.
She's also a pretty good shot putter. Kaya Robertson from the women's basketball team. We also have a couple of men basketball players coming out, but Kaya is a very good shot putter. I think, she'll be one of the top qualifiers in the country in the shot put. And when Coach Sanderson and I were recruiting her last year, that's one thing that I specifically talked to her about. You come to JJC, you can do both sports, and you can be successful in it. And she had a great first year in basketball. We gave her some time off after basketball, but now she's coming back into the track world. She's had, a few practices with the shot, and, she's going to be, I honestly believe, one of the best in the country in the shot put.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and say she's going to win, because you can't say that about anybody.
Yeah.
But she'll be right in contention.
Cool. Yeah, and obviously that's who I was fishing for, because
right.
I know Kaya was, both teams. For a two-sport athlete like that, and you probably count the cross-country runners too, are there any specific challenges between, going from one sport, such as basketball, let's say, which just finished their season earlier this month, to track and field?
No, not really. And I think, whether you do, whether it's, what other sport other than running, whether it's basketball or, you could even golf and do track, or multi-sport athletes, one helps the other. Kaya will get stronger. Throwing the shot, footwork with that will help her in basketball. Just like basketball players we have one who's a triple jumper, high jumper for the men. Basketball helps. In fact, when we do some of our workouts, I tell the jumpers, go dunk. that's part of their workout.
Yeah.
And I've had athletes before who were basketball players who became All-Americans in the high jump or the long jump or triple jump. They help each other, and that's one thing with JJC. You have the opportunity to do multiple sports because at some schools, they will make you choose.
Yeah.
It's one or the other, and it's a year-round job. Here you get to do both, especially if you like it, because when this opportunity's over, example, Kaya doing the shot put, she's has a great chance to be an All-American right away as a freshman in track and field. If she just works out for basketball, she doesn't gain that experience, and she's actually, like I said before, the track will help her basketball.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jeff, I don't want to take up any more of your time because I know you're leaving soon. But, it was great having you back on, and we're going to have to get you on again kind of in the middle point of the outdoor season so we can talk a little bit about, progress and what you're seeing and, of course, as we get closer to nationals.
It's funny because as we sat here and talked, yes,
yeah.
It has gotten brighter out.
And it's messing with the focus on the camera.
Well, there actually is sun up there.
Right. Well, thanks again, Jeff, for joining me
You're
for
welcome.
Coffee with the Wolves.
Glad to be here.
And we'll catch you again next week.